Hey, 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 hey. It's a new day. Oh my gosh. And I am so glad. I really am. I'm glad that we're here meeting today. I'm glad that it's a new day because with new days are new opportunities. And I just need to speak about that for a little bit because I know I'm not alone. I'm really not. I, I am so, I guess, relieved this morning because um, I stuck with what I believe and what I know, and it does work. Sometimes not as quickly as I'd like it to, that's for sure. But let me tell you, I have been really connected with and getting in touch with, you know, anger and just frustration, disappointment. And it all kind of came to a head yesterday. And I went over to a storage unit that I have, and I have all my paintings, my class materials, and supplies. I have just a lot of wonderful works for me, paintings that used to hang in my studio that touched others, that we had conversations about, beautiful color that I was able to surround myself with, and represented really my journey. And I think for me, going back to that, to the storage unit, it just brought up a lot of sadness and disappointment. And I realized that I had, like my hope was deferred. Like it was just, I was like, what is this all about? What am I doing? And for those of you who don't know, I had a wonderful cosmetic tattooing practice for, I don't know, close to 24 years. And 2 years ago in May, last month, I closed my practice. And this wasn't an easy decision. It took me actually a couple of years to really embrace where I was being called to and what was going on inside of me. And so, and that's the very place where a lot of what I teach started coming together, and really succinctly in ways that were causing transformation when I worked with others, so creatively. So anyway, it was a season of equipping. It was a really tough time. I got lots of encouragement and had lots of support through that. And I think that's a big part of our creative process. And it really what compels me to set aside some of the time that I have, and I have more of it these days than I used to have, to work with others, to help them navigate the twists and turns of their journey, to help them pull together pieces of their experience and help weave them together in a way that, for me, it gave me a place to begin from, like a foundation. So often we are pulled into something new and we think, oh my gosh, I don't know. And the deal is that there is a significant portion of what you do know. You just don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what you do know. And I have a good friend, and she said to me, Sarah, you have to learn the don'ts because the do's come naturally. And we don't know the do's. We don't know that until we have some mentors in our life that can mirror to us ourselves and what's going on. We don't know about ourselves until we engage in a group of like-minded people, and in this case, women, to begin to share our insides so that we can not just for ourselves, but as we share our insides, others identify with us. And how do I know this? Because when they share their insides, I discover parts of me that I wouldn't have discovered had they not shared themselves. So that's where I'm at today. I'm just really grateful for mentorship. I'm grateful for just all the ways I've invested in my creative journey, because the payoffs are incredible. They really are. And it doesn't mean that I'm not going to have bad days. I'll tell you, I've had a lot of rough emotional days in the last couple of months. And I'll tell you, when this COVID thing started, I honestly, not that COVID was good, but the act of the idea of being self quarantined at home for 2 weeks, and that's how we started here in the U.S. Is that I kind of celebrated that, because I thought, oh my gosh, finally permission just to be, that I could let go of all those outside distractions, and I could just really, be. And it gave me, that first couple of weeks was really great. I created so many things. It was engaged, and I had a lot of relational exchanges that were meaningful, and that's so important. It really is very important. I honestly, I didn't shut down anything. So we're going to hear all kinds of notifications, and I'm not going to take time to close my mail and all that other stuff. But I do want to check in with Facebook to see if there's anyone that has questions. If you have questions or want me to cover anything special, if you hear something in today's talk that you want to know more about, please put a comment in the box below. So I'm going to check on that periodically. And just with that, I've got a handful watching. How are you? How are you doing creatively? Are you having any, tough times of negativity? Because I'll tell you, like I said, the first couple of weeks, I was great. I was compliant. I understood, and I was all in to help, really just squash and bring down this curve of this wave, so to speak, of virus. And what I found in the coming weeks is that I had to, become more and more, surrender more and more. They were asking something more, and it was affecting more and more. And I realized that for a short time, unplugging from a lot of that human connection was starting to take its toll on me. And so, in a whole new level. So ways that I used to engage very freely, I was not finding myself engaging very freely. Now, personally, I don't use Facebook. I'm not one to get on my personal profile on a regular basis and post and keep guys all up to date. That's just not my thing. I'm the kind of gal that when I get together with others, I'm not the one taking the pictures and kind of, doing all that. I'm like in the experience. So I can't be in something and photographing. If I'm photographing, I'm detached. And I am such a feeler, intuitive person that what I realize is that I'm losing that outside stimulation, the human communication, that human connection, if you will. And it's taken me a while to really experience that, and then coming on the other side of it, which I feel like that's what's been happening. And I didn't know what it was. So, when something's happening and we don't understand it or we don't know what it is so easy to reject it. So easy. Like, no, that can't be right. No, I can't do that. And yet somehow, because I continue to doodle, somehow because I continue to talk it out, even when I didn't understand it, and realize that the problem wasn't outside of me, that it was definitely inside of me, that maybe some outside stuff was triggering it. And I'm starting to now have these experiences where I'm grateful for the outside stuff because it's triggering what was going on inside of me. I mean, Lord have mercy. I don't want that stuff living in me. So do I like being angry? Do I like being disappointed? Wouldn't I like to be, so spiritually fit that I never have a bad mood or I'm not human? Sometimes I think that way. And usually it has to do with things like, well, that's because I want people to think highly of me. I want them to want to be around me. I want to be accepted. I want to always say things that are going to, be warm and fuzzy for them. Well, I have to call bullshit on that, and I'm just going to say it. I can no longer do that. So it's not like I've like this is my first awareness, but I think it's coming to a different level. So I'm just going to call bullshit on it. I mean, I honestly have had a lot of days lately, and I'm going to get real spiritual here where I've had fuck it days. And I'm just going to say that. And I'm coming to think that maybe that's a really big spiritual term. And maybe it's going to be, offensive to some of you. Maybe it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she said that. Can't believe she said that live. But you know what? It's how I felt. And because I felt that way, I've made decisions based on that feeling. And let me tell you, it took me to really negative, ugly places. Okay. Eating what I shouldn't have been eating, thinking and just battling up here and settling for things instead of stepping out and doing what's right for me. I'm tired of being the wallflower. And again, it's not like it used to be at all, but I have to call bullshit on all the ways that I'm sitting around waiting for somebody else to do something that gives me permission or an invitation into something more. You know what? I am in charge of my destiny. I am in charge of following my heart. I am in charge of those things. I own it. So if we're not going to own our stuff, we're not going to get what we want. We're not going to get what we need. All right. And we all are wired to do and to bring something to the occasion. So bring whatever it is that you want to bring. And we don't have to, I don't have to announce it to anybody. I don't have to go back and say, I'm sorry that I didn't do all this and this. Begin doing it. Ask for what you need, the courage for what you need. Where? From your creativity. Your creativity connects you to the divinity. It creates you to your creator, where, the one who has all power, the one that can sustain us, and it gives us courage, gives us harmony, gives us peace, gives us comfort, all those things that we can't manufacture on our own. And so that's the very essence of being in the moment. Okay. And I've been telling you about doodling, and I know maybe some of you are sick of hearing about doodling. And if that's you, you're probably not listening to this. So maybe the ones that are listening or take time to listen to the replay, if that's you, if you're on the replay, thank you. And I say thank you to you for investing the time to enhance your own life, your inner life, because our creativity is an expression of what's going on inside, and so I'm just going to say, we're going to keep on. I've got, this week is the third week of the month. And I'm talking about doodling. And I said, we were going to spend a month on it, and we really needed to. I needed to. So I don't know if it works for you, but I have needed to, because I've been talking about it with you each week. It's made me commit to it. So as I evolve, you can evolve. As you evolve, I evolve. Do you see how this works? See, I'm dependent on engagement here. And if it doesn't come here, I'm going to go somewhere else for it. And I don't use this as my only means of connection. Okay. I'm connecting in many other ways. And with that experience, I come here. So I am a collective of what I experience. And that's the idea of having a mentor, having a guide. And if it's something you need, if you want to talk more about it, I'm going to open up free calls. So I'm going to look for my post, and I'm opening up some free opportunities to call. No obligation, no strings attached. I've got time, and I have a desire to pull you along, to inspire you, to make you want to make more for yourself. Okay? That be the more you are made to be. So creativity, a lot of people get this mixed up with artistic ability. And yes, I'm an artist. Yes, you may be an artist, but it has nothing to do with that. Creativity is not art. Okay? It's not. Creativity is anything that connects me to my inside, where the inner guide, my God, lives inside of me. That is creativity. Creativity makes you feel like you're in the zone. All right? It's a happy place. Creativity is anything that you lose time doing. Like you lose track of time. You're having so much fun. Creativity is your happy place. Creativity even makes you move. It could be music. It could be the time of day that's a good time for you. Creativity is the outdoors. If you feel compelled or pulled to the nature, That's where you connect. We all have areas of nature that help us to connect. Now, what might connect me in nature is going to maybe different than what you connect in nature, but we all find something in nature that connects us, right? And so certain colors connect me to my inside. They're happy colors for me. All right. Might be different than your color. But the fact is that color connects us to our creativity. Okay. I know that. One of the questions that I talk about with students is that, or with my coaching clients, is I'll just ask them about their color. And a lot of times women, when they come to me, they've lost a sense of self. All right. They've lost a sense of self. Why? Because negativity has beat them down. Because in that beating, okay, and a lot of it is, self-talk, is because we've come into agreement with maybe what others have said about us, or we've projected what we think others are thinking about us. And so it affects us. Our mood changes. Our mood changes when we're around certain people. Why? Because of this experience, not necessarily what's happened in reality, but something that we've experienced up here, which our mind has done. Okay. So creativity busts through a lot of things. So sometimes when I start working with women, I'll ask them, what's your color palette? What's your favorite colors right now? And much of the time they really have to think about it. Okay. But soon after I begin to talk and ask questions, it starts emerging. Okay. Because I stir up the curiosity. All right. I wake that part of their spirit up, the spirit in them, that inner guide. I wake that up. Why? Because we have a tendency to live in our head. Okay. From the neck up. All right. And creativity is what gets me it gives me the alignment. It connects me with my insides. That's why I feel better. That's why I feel more free. Because if you were trapped up here in my head, you'd feel pretty prisoned as well. Okay. It's a challenge up here. And if you've got that, you know what I'm talking about. So what I'm going to say to you is that creativity connects me to my insides. It gives me that divine alignment, if you will. It somehow connects that tension. Okay. The negativity and the positivity, it connects that. Isn't that strange? Because sometimes I feel like that's upside down. Like we have heaven and we have earth. So heaven is up and earth is down. But in our bodies, I feel like this is earth and heaven is down here. So, that's a good question. I've never thought about that. That just came to me today. So anyhow, I know we're in on time. I like to keep these fairly short, but I felt like I needed to tell you where I was at. I wanted you to feel real with me and know that if you're in some kind of emotional or spiritual pain, I get it. I understand how that can be. I get the problem. The problem may be lack of human connection, lack of, creating space for myself, for fostering creativity in myself. And so no wonder I'm getting what I've got. So if I want a different result and I don't want to continue living in that problem of negativity, of perfectionist thoughts, I need to doodle. I need to connect, use doodling as a way to unlock my power to think differently. All right. And when I have the ability to think differently, I'm more creative. And as I'm creative, my creativity begins to flow and it perpetuates. So I actually have this sense of feeling, whereas the cup, instead of half empty, becomes half full. It's just a change in perception. It's a letting go of the perfection, that need to be perfect. And it's just all of a sudden I begin to get a different flow. Okay. And that's the evidence of creative juices flowing. Okay. Physiologically, we can feel different physically when we're in our creativity. That's why you feel happy. That's why you feel relaxed. Research has shown there's a lot of things that happen physiologically to our body as we're creative. It's a stress reducer. We've talked about that. It's just that place of just like surrender, that we can just let go of the need to create a masterpiece. All right. Again, it's not about becoming a better artist. If you're an artist, you're going to get better automatically, just because when you focus on the creativity, everything else changes. When I focus on my creative activities, my life gets better in almost every area. My relationships are better, have less struggle with myself, so it's easier to be around others. It's easy to be more giving than self-centered. I mean, it changes so many things. It really is crucial. And so last week I talked about that doodling improves our focus and memory. Just like that blank page is like an extended playing field for our brain. It allows us to revise and improve our creative thoughts and ideas. Okay. So many times, we draw over drawing. And I talked about that in previous weeks, that when we doodle, sometimes I begin by closing my eyes and I just let that pen move like a moving meditation. And then I can open my eyes and I can continue to draw on top of that and add to it. Sometimes when we draw over something, we can even use new colors, and we can start masking and layering. And it's beautiful. It's very freeing. Again, not to make a masterpiece, not to make anything. It's just totally abstract, and it's free. It's kind of like life. We cannot really control much. We can control whether we show up or not, and the kind of attitude we have. And that's a choice. Again, I don't have to feel like doodling to doodle. I can just decide that I'm going to doodle, because I know that it connects me to my insides. When I'm connected to my insides, I do better. Life is better. So today, I just want to give you, lastly, before we close up, is just some ways that doodling can help you with your outlook and attitude. All right. So it's a mood enhancer. It helps us center our mind, center those thoughts. That takes away the stressors of the day. All right. Biological effects of doodling are it actually increases or boosts the blood flow to the frontal cortex of the brain. This means that this is the effect it has, the enhancement of our moods. Okay. So we get all of these benefits of pleasure and well-being just by letting go. Listen, when you're in a meeting or you're on the telephone and you're doodling on your pad there, that helps you to focus. And it also takes away the stress. It helps you become more patient, so you listen better. All right. So you're participating in that. You feel better by doodling, even if it's someone that you don't care to talk to, even if it's a boss who's stressed out. It helps you to participate. It helps you to be there in a way that you couldn't be if you weren't distracted. This is like a healthy distraction. So next, artists and creatives, especially even those, obviously, if you're not terribly creative, okay, this can reduce our stress. So it has nothing to do with your artistic ability, how long you've been an artist. Every artist's work will improve from practicing doodling. It just makes sense, because if doodling allows you to focus, with lines and squiggles and such, it's going to help you with problem solving. It's going to give space for those creative juices to bring you new revelation and understanding. It's going to allow you to let go of blocks, which are typically ideas or judgments you have about yourself or your work, so that you can just be. And in doing this, we brings us right naturally into the third point I want to make, which is it builds confidence. So if you're working on a picture or a painting or other work, you get help from doodling. Okay, so use this as a way to break free of the need to bring about a particular result. And we do this by just some freehand drawing. All right. Like freehand drawing is like brain dumping and list making. It helps your brain to write better and faster. So doodling can bring that to the blocked or lost artist. Okay. Can bring it to the blocked or lost creative. All right. Going back to originally what I had talked about, you know, once you understand that being creative has nothing to do with being an artist, you realize that everyone is creative. We were all created in the image of our maker, you know, the divine universal creator, God. I use God because I don't know what you call that, but God is a good universal term for us to come together so that you know what I'm talking about, you know, and it's the God within. It's that inner guide. It's that comforter. And, you know, it's like a peacemaker. It makes peace inside of me. And so it helps me. I don't waste time. I just start doodling and I let these skills happen. And they begin to improve whatever it is I'm working on, whether it's dinner, whether it's, you know, decorating my room, whether it's writing a letter, whether it's getting together with a friend, spending time with myself, my family, serving in the community. It just helps when I'm centered, when we let go and doodle, it just shifts our perspective. Okay. So we're back into an attitude of being on a journey rather than pressing forward and striving to get to a finished piece or a destination. And I need to be reminded of that sometimes. All right. That my art, my creative endeavors, my life is a process of continually improving. And I'm just so encouraged by being reminded this week that, you know, the hope is in patient improvement, and patience is hard. It's one of those characteristics that, you know, it's a direct reflection of my emotional maturity. You know, where am I emotionally when I'm being impatient like this, and what does it bring up for me? And then I have to ask myself, do I really want to experience life from this posture of impatience? Because waiting on someone or waiting in line is not patience. That's waiting. Patience is how I'm experiencing waiting. All right. So it takes it to a different level. So if you really want to know what's motivating you, you got to get behind, you know, what you perceive to be the problem. And creativity, doodling helps me to do that. When I work with clients, I help them to start data mining, if you will, and pulling those kinds of things from their artwork and from their creative endeavors. So that they're creating in a way that helps them personally. Because if my creativity doesn't improve me personally, it's really not doing anything, because it's about me connecting with you in our humanity. And by me showing my insights to you, my hope is there's some sort of identification. And that's when art or our creativity is really, that's what brings the most satisfaction. That's what gives the meaningfulness to my living today. And that's really what my soul was craving when I closed my practice a couple of years ago. Is that, you know, yes, I was doing good work. Yes, I was making women happy. Yes, I was helping them to feel stronger. You know, by looking good, they felt better. And yet something was calling me to work from the inside out. All right. Instead of the outside in. It was very limited on what I could do in my cosmetic tattooing practice with someone's insides. And so I'm working with fewer, but I'm working deeper and more meaningful for me. And as my clients evolve, I evolve, and it changes my life. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm in the process of learning to love and serve well, because that's my heart's desire. So I'm not saying this and I'm not doing this because I've perfected it. I'm not there. No, but I'm headed in that direction. And for those of you who are interested and want to know more and have that unction too, maybe you're in a time of transition. Maybe in this time of COVID, Maybe your job or your career is changing, evolving, not sure what to do with it, not sure where it's going. I have experience with that. Now, it wasn't COVID that caused the change for me. It was something going on inside of me. But I'll tell you what, I have found that, just God uses everything for his goodness. And so if the COVID has put you in a position where you're having to rethink things, where you're in transition, where what was working used to work and it doesn't any longer, or not the same, then maybe this is for you. All right. Maybe this creativity thing, there's something to it. So if you've been in the group for a while and you really haven't participated, I'm going to encourage you, just start. Okay. Just start right here today. You don't have to make anything up. There's a lot of material on this in this group. So if you want to do some backtracking and do some, some other, catch up in a different way that would meet your goals, that would meet you right where you're at, do so. Yeah. Let me know about that so I can help out. I am going to post some about this, some free calls, some free coaching calls. No obligation to continue. Just whatever I can help you with at that moment, give you some direction, perhaps guide you to a few places in the group, the materials that will help you. I'm in the process of recategorizing the group into units. So studies that I've done in the past, a little bit at a time, I'm pulling into units so that you can go and look up particular areas or topics that studies that I've done in the past that may help you. And then we've got some things coming up as well. I'm going to be doing a special launch in August. And so we're gearing up for that. And so, this is a good time to begin doodling on a regular basis. Okay. Set aside 15 minutes a day, grab a pad, a pen, put it somewhere, posture yourself to really take some action, get in your zone. Even if you're not familiar with it, it's not going to be familiar if you haven't been doing it. You might surprise yourself. You might tap into something that was, really, pretty meaningful in years past. I know many of us have what I call Crayola stories, where in our past we were creative, and somewhere along the line we stopped. And so maybe it's time to just go back and reflect and pick up something from your past. And if that's the case, that's great. Just do it. All right. You did it once, you can do it again. I had a friend who said that, to me. I remember, her sharing something, and I was in my woes and she says, well, Sarah, you did it once, you can do it again. And it's true. The only thing that's stopping me is me. And I started with this live video in that tone, saying that, my destiny is my responsibility. My creativity is my responsibility. And maybe you're like me and you were so accustomed to compromise, adjusting yourself to the needs of others. And I don't say that out of place of resentment. I did a lot of that as a mom. I honestly, all my work hours were around school. I worked when my kids were in school, and when they weren't, I didn't. And I built a business in spite of that. So I put aside my own personal ambitions for the good of my family. And I don't regret any of that. But I'll tell you what, I don't have to anymore. Those needs are different. My children are adults. They are self-supporting. So what am I going to do for me? Why am I sitting around when I really want to be doing something more meaningful, something more satisfying? So it's my turn. I mean, you ask anyone in my family and they'll say, go for it. I support you. I'm with you. That's what they think. After this weekend, when I went to the storage unit and I felt all those horrible feelings, when I was disappointed, see, I put all that stuff in storage and I thought it was going to be for maybe 6 months. I knew, I had this feeling, this gut feeling, I was going to become a student. I was going to be a resident artist at a gallery right down the street. And it looked like I was accepted, and it sounded like that. And I didn't get the call. And when I followed up, I didn't get callbacks. And so I let it go. I thought, if it's supposed to be, it'll be. And a year later, just for the heck of it, I picked up the phone and said, hey, I never heard anything. How's your artist in residence program going? Is there any openings? Funny you should ask. We're going to open that up again. We'd love for you to reapply. So I did. I went in for an interview. I met with the board. I met with the staff. I should say it was a board of four people, and sounded great. I thought from what I heard, it was going to be a week. I was going to get a call after this woman went on vacation, and she was going to call me. She showed me the room. She gave me the pricing. Everything looked good. I didn't sign anything, but that was what I would be expecting. Never heard a word. Called, left messages, never heard anything back. So when I went to the storage unit, all that came back. And I was angry. I was resentful. I was disappointed. I'm sad. I don't like spending money on storage. And for 2 years now, I have, in faith. Listen, it's none of my business how God chooses to use the money he gives me. It really isn't. And I was mad. I was mad at myself. I was disappointed. I felt like I had wasted that money. And I came home and it's just like all that disappointment got me. And what I heard after I gave it all up to God and said, please forgive me for wasting that money. Please forgive me, God. He just put it in my spirit. That was my money. And that was me. That's on me. None of your business. So, yeah, I woke up this morning feeling lighter, and I'm really happy that all of that disappointment and sadness, anger and resentment that I was carrying is not in me anymore. See, once we express it, it's outside of us. It has no power. It's when I resist having those feelings, when I didn't even know I have them. I didn't know that. I didn't know I had all that in me. But it makes a lot of sense because I'll tell you, like I said, my attitude was getting worse and worse and worse and worse as the days were going on. And I think what really was wearing me out was the fact that I was trying to manage all those feelings. I was trying to be loving and accepting. I was trying to do this, but I never asked God to give me what I needed to be that. See, I can manufacture quite a bit of that on my own. But myself, I can only get so far. And when I finally let go and let God be the one and just surrender that, that's when I got a refreshment of my mind and my spirit. I feel different. I woke up full of hope today. I could talk with you about that for a long time, but I appreciate the time you've given. I really do. I would say today, my call to action, the assignment, if you would decide to take it, if you will, is to maybe even try doodling. If you have a tablet or an iPad, doodling is just easy breezy. That's just another way of doing it. And I've talked to you about that before. I doodle on my iPad. I just have it with my morning time. And I go right into my notes. And I go into my notes. I close my eyes. This is what I came up with. All right. And I will tell you that, I looked at this picture and I said, okay, where am I in this picture? And I'll tell you, this is where I'm at. Let me see if I can hold this in point. Okay. This is me. Whoop. This is me right here. That's what I felt. And I felt like I was in this comfort space. I can't do the circles with this hand. Let's see. Yeah. No, I can't do it. I'm like trying, but you see, there's circles around me. And those circles represent, see how loose and just carefree they are? I almost feel like they've got just a really comfortable texture, but it's like giving me comfort. It really is. It's like a comfortable place. In my space this morning, I felt the comfort that I wanted and needed. And I just feel like, there's more to this whole story, but just for the sake of time, I won't go through it today. But it's just neat how this exercise, this willingness, if you will, to manifest physically what's going on inside gives me the freedom that I'm looking for, helps me to align. It takes my insides and makes it visible. So what is invisible is made visible through our creativity, through our doodling. So we don't know what's going on. We don't know that, that's a message from God. Maybe that space around me, is God working around me. Maybe that's the comfort that he promises, right? That in that I can have comfort. And so anyway, I'll leave you with that. I just encourage you to, take some time, doodle, whether it's on a scratch pad. It doesn't even have to be a pad. Just grab a piece of paper. I've got papers everywhere. If you look at my desk, you'd see doodling in a lot of different places because I doodle. It works. It doodles. And, it helps me to be me. It helps me to, be right where I'm at in that moment. And that's where, we have good vibes. It feels good to be in the now. It really does. It's when I'm resisting being in the now that I feel so lousy. And so we can celebrate like that place of that single, like quiet place that's inside of us, really focus there. And sometimes, it helps to close our eyes. That's why I close my eyes when I begin doodling. It takes away about 70% of the distraction. It really does. And it just really helps me be focused because, see, we have to get rid of distraction if we want to, have the ears to hear and the eyes to see. And so we begin to not trust necessarily what we see and what we hear, but it's that quiet place. It's what we see and hear in the spirit. And then we can bring that into our doodling. And then we start to see it in our life and in our art. And that's when it gets really exciting. Okay. We know we're experiencing creative when we're with friends and we're having fun because we're doing what we love. And that's creativity. Anything that connects me, that human connection could be storytelling. It could be doing something that we both like in common. Could be meeting over food. Everyone likes to eat, having a meal together starts that connection. It gives us a beginning place. And so anyway, that's what creativity is. That's what it is for me today. I'm glad you tuned in. You have a great week. And don't forget that each week, Monday at noon, I'm here behind the scenes. My name is Sarah, and I am delighted to spend time with you and hope that you come back. All right. We'll see you then.